Welcome to this week's Entrepreneurial Artist. I'm Chris Mercer and I'm with my co-host, Kat Machin. This week, Kat, we're talking about Instagram. And I think before we even get into starting like how good Instagram is and how you can use it and all things like that, we have to touch on your massive, scary week last week with Instagram. Because this
Oh,
anybody, so it's like a huge lesson, and actually like a big lesson of how you got out of it as well, because it was pretty full on, wasn't it?
yeah, like I'm at the other end now and I'm smiling, but I sure as heck wasn't smiling going through it. If anyone's curious as to what happened, my Instagram got taken down, which, you know, having an Instagram and a following isn't, it's not life or death unless it's your business. And that's how you make all your money and that's how you pay your bills and feed yourself. For me, that was 167,000 people gone overnight for no reason. Still, actually, have no explanation as to why they took the account down, but they did it. They wanted to do extended like verification, even though I'm a blue check mark account, so I'm fully verified as an account. It's not because of that, but yeah, it was actually terrifying. I was super heartbroken because the problem is that you're not necessarily given any clarity on why it's gone, what's happening, how long it's going to take.
Could you
You're not
get
even
hold of
sure.
anybody, Kat? Could you speak to anybody or like?
No. So what happened was I tried to log in one day and it basically said, we just need to check your account. Could you use a code? We're going to send a code to your phone, put it in. So I did that. And then it said, you basically your account is suspended.
Oh my God.
No explanation or any reason. And it basically said, we will get back in touch with you within 24 hours once we verify that you've put the code in correct. And it took 4 or 5 days before I got an email from them. And the weirdest thing is that the email came through not to my Instagram email, but the one that was attached to my Facebook. And so if anyone's listening to this and you're using a Facebook and you can't get access to your email on that because maybe it's an old email, change it. Because if you do, like, there's a lot of people I was looking on forums who said, oh my gosh, like I have access to the email attached to my Instagram, but not the one on my Facebook. I hadn't even thought about that, and now they've lost their accounts because they can never get the verification email. So then I had to write my name, my username, and a number that was in the email. And I had to like take a photograph of me holding it with both my hands in it. I don't know why they wanted to see my hands.
What?
And then send the photograph to like reply with it with the photograph.
Yeah.
And then it took another few days and I never got a notification it was back up. Just one day someone said congratulations for getting your account back. And I was like,
Oh my
what?
God. That must have been the longest week of your life.
Oh yeah, because like I was had no idea how long it was going to be gone for or if I would ever get it back.
Yeah.
And I was looking online and there was lots of people that were like, yeah, 8 months in, I've still not got my account. And for me, I was like, wow, we're due to run a big campaign in the next month or two. And like, I've basically lost 70% of my business overnight,
Yeah.
which is so hectic. And I was devastated. And when I got it back, I was still sort of like kind of shell shocked because like, who'd have like it's made it so clear, like even though Instagram, all these social media tools are essential for of course getting out there and sharing your art with the world. It's like building your house on someone else's land. It's like if someone takes that platform away, what have you got? Nothing. So
Wow.
um I did find a form on the Facebook Help Center, which I was able to just put in my details, but I don't know if that made any difference, to be honest.
And you still
Or
don't
if that
know
was
why
no, they did.
you got no. Gee.
Like I can hypothesize that might be because I had multiple devices logging in with different IP addresses, and maybe they flagged that as suspicious. I also have a team that use Instagram, but there is no, like, I checked the terms of service. There's nothing in the terms of service saying that you can't have multiple people or you can't log in with multiple devices.
Right.
Nothing to that extent. Although we are now moving over to, we've got a full like a CRM process, it's called Trengo, which is we're just testing it out. So I don't want to recommend it at this stage, but basically all the inboxes from Twitter, from Facebook, from Instagram, or emails or WhatsApps, they all just go to one thing now where you can have multiple people. It's more like a ticket desk, I suppose, but still trying to suss it out to see if it's right for us.
Yeah.
But gosh, holy moly, Chris,
Yeah.
70% of my business gone.
It's so scary, isn't it? And it shows the importance of those, like us trying to get emails and building our own platforms.
It's changed my way that I use Instagram as well. Because it's so funny because even throughout the whole week, I was still picking up my phone and going in, and I was logging it, trying to log in. And of course, it went, and I just kept on doing it automatically. And I was like, damn, it's just a habit because throughout the day, I'll go in there and post a story, and I would just do it unconsciously without even thinking about it, which is sort of good and scary at the same time.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. It's great you've got the habit, because we all need to get into the habits of the things, but actually we don't know you're doing it, that's
yeah, well, so there's that, but yeah, it just really gave me pause for thought. And I have always been a big advocate of building your email list. And I know that all of today is about building your Instagram, but the whole point, any social media platform, all avenues should be pointing to your email list. So, we should be porting the people over from Instagram to the email list, from your TikTok to your email list, from your Twitter to your email list, from your Facebook to your email list. The email list is actually where you do all the selling. It's where you got all the contacts. And most importantly, if a platform just decides overnight that it's going to suspend your account for no reason, because we haven't broken the terms of service, but maybe just sometimes people's accounts come under attack. I've had a friend called Astro Tanner, and he had I don't know what his account was up to, but look, it was over 250,000, so over 250,000 followers. And someone hacked his account. He clicked on a suspicious, he got one of those emails that looked like, you need to verify some information, clicked a link, but it wasn't from Instagram. It was from a phishing site. And that was it. He lost his massive account. And it is so easy to accidentally get to that point.
Heartbreaking, wouldn't it? Because these things take a lot of effort to get up to the numbers that you've got. That's taken years to do that.
Yeah. I mean, people often were saying, well, you'll be fine, Kat. People know you. They'll can be back. And I'm like, yeah, but it's 5 years of work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot. So that was my scary moment.
You know what a great place to start might be with, how do you move people from your Instagram to your email list? Because after what you've just talked about, might be
right. So and I suppose we'll do a full podcast on this. But for now, just to know that you literally have to create reasons. So our reason might be, so I do sometimes do giveaways or little competitions or those kinds of things. Or, when I'm building up to a store, I will be saying, I'll be launching my store for, let's say, 2 weeks. But it's often there's things that are first come, first serve basis. If people want to get in there quickly, to snap up those limited edition items, which always is quite a frenzy when we launch, they have to be on the email list, because the only way to get, and I know this sounds bizarre, but the only way to get into my store is via a password. So you can't just blow in off the street. You have to be on the email list in order to get in, which I know sounds weird.
It works for you.
It works for me. People are sitting there refreshing their inboxes, waiting for the password to arrive, and they are straight in to the store to get, because they can't access it. And once it's over, it's over. So it's kind of people like to be notified of those moments, and that's why people join my email list. But you don't have to necessarily do that. For instance, you could hypothetically, if you were launching a time sensitive stories in the store that will not be in perpetuity, but will be, limited to a week or 2 weeks or a month or whatever, you could have an early access phase. So you could say, for the first week, I'm going to have early access, which means A, you get to see the original paintings first, and B, maybe I'll have a few little surprises in there for you, right? And you might have the email list to get people into that store first, before the masses arrive from whatever, just clicking through. You might, and I mean, and like sometimes, you can create, you can do giveaways or PDFs. You can teach people all sorts of different things. Like, if like I'm not selling paint, but if I was to, hypothetically, maybe I've got something in the works, selling paints and brushes. You might do a PDF guide on like how to paint, or like a little breakdown or a summary, or like one of the things that I do is I do kids books, which is just like an ebook with like 5 amazing facts about black holes or about supernovae, and it's bedtime stories to grow little minds, and it's just a PDF that will get emailed to you if you sign up. So there's like lots of different angles you can take in order to build that email list, but definitely the social media is the beginning point, but it's not the end point for sure. And like, there is a lot of like talk in particular on Facebook, like building your like, using chatbots and all of that kind of stuff, and not even needing to take it onto email. However, again, like, and all of these platforms can be taken away from you in an instant. And sometimes it's not even anything you've done wrong. Like most of the time, it's not because you've done anything wrong.
You just never know, do you?
No, you just don't. No.
I've used the ebook email capture with, finding the right art for your home, and competitions as well to generate some emails. So with Instagram has the stories, which you can post the stories, well, as often as you like. They're like 15-second little captures of things that you can pop up every day. Go into that more in a minute. So stories, there's reels. I think they're about 15 seconds, and they're like really good on like little video things that really just make people stop as they're scrolling. I like the reels. You can do a lot in 15 seconds, so I do like the reels. The IGTV, now you use that a lot, so you spend more time on the IGTV, and you use it live as well, don't you? So and then there's also the general posting all the time, so we'll touch on all of that.
So let's start with stories. So stories, I think the key with stories is you just don't want to post too little or too many. Like, it's very overwhelming. If you come into a page and it's got like 50 stories, you feel like it's an absolute chore to get through. And I've had days when
didn't you? You used to do a lot, and now you've really cut back, haven't you? Because you think,
it's just too much. So stories basically disposable. They only stay up for 24 hours. So it's a good way to go and get your face on, but not have to worry about like this is a permanent record. It's sort of more like, hey, like it's good to be able to talk to people like what's going on in your day. That's kind of like, or like interesting things that you're up to, or little sneak peeks behind the scenes. Maybe you're sharing another artist's work that you really like, or maybe you're sharing just like some insight throughout the day. But generally speaking, you don't want to have too many, because it can be overwhelming. But most importantly, you have to be on them. Like, I know some people are very camera shy. This is the perfect way, because they're only there for 24 hours. So if you fluff it up, don't worry, it's gone tomorrow.
That's right. No, there's only a few people who did, I'm going to say only a few people have seen it, but hopefully a lot of people have seen it. But as you say, it's gone, isn't it? So it doesn't matter what you've done. It's obliviated. You can start again.
Right. So these aren't really things that you spend like hours and hours and hours going into a single story, because ultimately it's an impermanent feature, and it's just kind of like a little quick update. It's good for building like building an emotional connection to someone, like, you know, having your face on there, just talking a little bit, just it's like a daily good morning, you know, it's like a how you doing sort of thing, if you think about it a bit like that. The other thing is that you can post like it's now no longer a swipe up, but you can have a button and it can link to a URL. Now I'm not sure if that's still for people with 10,000 or more
So,
followers.
yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
But if you have 10,000, you can get a little button that you can basically click, and then, you know, and there's other features that they've added, but it's region specific. So you can get captions. If you're talking, the text auto populates beneath you so people can read it if they are audio off. But of course, it's not available in every area. What was the next one? Reels.
Yeah, we can go to reels. Yeah. I like the reels.
So do you want to talk about reels a little bit?
Oh, they're just a fun thing, aren't they? You can put something together which is quite snappy, I think. And then, like, I use them for videos of me painting, and it might be close-ups, or, you know, like I might do 3 different things, like me mixing, me actually doing the work, then seeing it. So it's like 5 seconds or 2 or 3 seconds on each little thing. So it just moves from one thing to the next thing. Because I think our attention spans are pretty poor, isn't it?
Yeah, so reels are like basically Instagram's answer to TikTok. And the way to think about it is more like flipping through TV channels, thinking about it like that. These are permanent posts, so they don't disappear after 24 hours. But this is Instagram's new favorite thing. And I'm sure there'll be another favorite thing down the line. So, of course, depending on when you're listening to this, it'll be relevant. But, you know, that's how you can get mass followings. Like if you get a reel, so the curve to success is incredibly steep. So for instance, if you're thinking of a like to watch ratio, so every 10 people that watch it, at least one person likes it, you know, it'll do okay, it'll do reasonably. If you're getting 2 out of 10, it'll do okay. If you do 3 out of 10, it'll do pretty good. And if you can get it to a point where it's like 3.5 people out of 10 people like it, or, you know, people are sharing your post, it will go it literally goes to the stratosphere. So it's almost like there's almost no gap. In a way, it's kind of like you're either kind of hitting the 10 people that have watched it, 100 people that watch it, 1,000, or maybe like 3 or 4,000. And then after like a tipping point of like kind of like quality, I suppose, you know, you're now being served to like millions and millions and millions of people. And really what I like to suggest is like often keep it simple. You just want kind of one really core predominant idea in that reel, and kind of think about it like a newspaper. So, you know, you have like what is the equivalent of a headline. Now that headline could be like a physical text thing, like, you know, and it could be I'm so tired from painting, and then you just look over and it's like, now I've got to clean my brushes, you know, and people that it relates to will click like because they're like, oh, that is me, you know. Or it could be, you know, what I call like the grand reveals, right? You know, you can tell someone's working on something, can't quite work it out, and then all of a sudden a reveal, and then you're, oh, amazing, that's beautiful. So there's a few different like things about making it work. This works again also with TikTok, the same. It's like you want to have like a headline and a hook. So within the first 3 seconds, the person needs to know, what is this video about? Now sometimes that is very visual, like if it's a, you know, a piece of paper and your hand and a pencil and you're drawing, it's clear that it's a piece of art. But is it a piece of art that they're interested in? You can either do it audibly, so you can say, today guys, I'm drawing it, or I just want to show you what the beginning, middle and end is looking like, or whatever it is. So an idea behind, like a simple idea that's behind the video, so they go, oh, I know what this video is about. The hook often is some sort of suspense. So a reveal, like as in I'm not showing you the full picture before the end, is a good way to create suspense. But another way to create a hook might be just something that is very relatable, you know, whatever that might be. If you're an artist, it could be you doing some watercolors, and then you accidentally put your brush in your cup of tea, and then you go to take a drink and you spit it out. And that could be the relatable thing, because I think we've all been there. So I have. That's why I don't do watercolors anymore, Chris.
I make sure I have a bottle of water and not a cup anymore.
Oh, wow. That is some serious top shelf info right there for people. I think we should all take on that one. That's a good one, Chris.
But what you
bottle
said
of wine. Sorry.
Yeah. What you said there's a great tip for all sorts of social as well, though, isn't it? Because when you're posting any kind of video or even advertising, when you do any Facebook or Instagram ads, you need the headline, you need the hook, you need the body. So all of that is relevant.
Need something that creates drama, and then something that is the aha moment, whatever that is, right? Some people can do it with comedy, some people can do it with, showing something that's beautiful, whatever that is. And like, I think the way to think about reels is, if unlike stories, right, if it's a story, the person already follows you, they already know who you are. It could be about something that like only you and your followers would need to know. Like, I could show a picture of I don't know, I could just be showing like something I'm working on, or like, I'm trying to think of something. Like, I could just be talking about, oh yeah, I need to go and get my camera fixed, and I'm there sitting there with a camera. But unlike, so that's good for that's good for stories, but reels, it makes no sense, because you are shown to random people, not necessarily in your following. So the question is that person going to go, well, I don't care if you get your camera fixed, but if you could make it relatable to people, like, obviously Instagram's just so good, and same with TikTok, it will show your content to the relevant people. So if I, instead of making it just like, today guys, I'm just going to go off and get this fixed, but instead it was a reel that showed like the before, middle, and end of me going and getting my camera fixed, and I put the hashtag photography on there, like people that were into like photographers and whatever might find that interesting, and that will most likely get served to that kind of demographic. So when you're scrolling through it, on a reel, you might have a dog video, you might go then and have a video about someone packing in order, you might have a video about someone dancing, and then your video might show up. So it's not in any category, so people don't know what they're getting when your video comes. So you got to make sure that in those first few seconds, because if people are in an inch confused about what you're doing, but in a sort of like, what the heck, they'll just scroll past. So obviously curiosity is good, but you have to have a bit more of a hook first. So you have to like tell them what it's about, but not tell them everything, if that makes sense.
Do you think it's keeping it simple as well?
Simplicity is king. I think I need to get better at making it less complicated. Sometimes like the idea of it, if you can't explain it in like 4 or 5 words, the video is too complicated for reals, for sure.
That's a good little tip, isn't it? To go, well, keep it simple. And posting, say like just general posting, and that just has to look beautiful, doesn't it? So your general posting is your feed, like what somebody comes to when they look up Kat Machin, space artist. It's all of your beautiful pictures.
I actually don't put as much emphasis on posting, which I know is ironic. I would post more IGTVs and more reels and more stories than I do actual main feed posts. It's a challenge, because I think that this is a big thing recently. Well, it's not just recently, but as soon as reels came about, people that were on those that are now looking at reels were looking at feed posts. So feed posts have become deprioritized in the platform. You can still get good coverage. So when it comes to posts, Instagram have deprioritized the posts. So I mean, basically they only have a certain number of people on the platform. So if they're directing people to a different part of the platform, which is the reels, which is kind of under a separate tab. But even when you are shown your like feed, the first 3 or 4 are almost always reels. And it's always just trying to push it because it knows that once people go into that Reels thing, they just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. And they're just there for hours. And that's kind of what they want. They want that attention because, of course, ultimately, the more attention they get, the greater their ad revenue and all of that other stuff.
Yeah.
So, and most of the time when I do my feed posts, I'm only getting like 4% of my following.
Oh, it's
And
gone really low, hasn't it now? Like it,
I'm
I used to get quite a lot, and it's less than half than I used to go to since they rearranged everything, didn't they, about a year ago?
right.
And
I
with
think
that, actually, I lost a whole heap of followers, which was a good thing, you know, because at the time I thought, oh my God, you know, I felt I've been robbed, really. But when I, you know, like really looked at it, they mustn't have been people that they might have been dodgy, or something must have been up with them for Instagram actually to take them away. So I feel like
yeah.
that was a really good thing that happened. But that was
Yeah.
about a year ago.
So that is true. And I think yeah, I think a lot that I think the main takeaway really, and I mean, obviously there is a hashtag strategy that must work because people are getting onto that discovery page. But even on that discovery page, people are spending less and less time because people are just heading into Reels, and then that's them. They're there for a while. So, which is difficult if you're a person that doesn't do videos. That's hard. That's a hard bullet because that was how you got most of your people. Um, there are multiple different hashtag strategies, but I've got to be absolutely truthful with people. The algorithm has changed so many times that as soon as I got it figured out, it stops working. We're just in this phase where we've not got it working right now. So I don't want to give any advice on that because we are still figuring it out ourselves. And I am trying to, the one thing I am doing though, and I think I recommend everyone, is when you go into your like discovery, so a little spyglass thing where you can see like everything going on inside Instagram, is click on the posts that are kind of relevant to what you're doing and have a look at what hashtags they're doing, look at how they've done them, and just take some notes. And by ways of like looking through all of those things, you will start to see some patterns and use that. At this stage though, I find it challenging, so we're actually doing a lot less of that. We're just focusing on the parts of Instagram that are like really, really growing. And if you can get a reel to take off, you can be shown to millions of people, which is way, way more than just doing a normal post.
Yeah.
So I think what I would say is that if you've suddenly found that you're not getting the engagement, it's okay. It really is okay. I mean, I still get a lot of people commenting and all of that kind of stuff underneath the posts. I always try to ask engaging questions. Still get a lot of interaction. It's not like it's falling short. It's a very good percentage I get versus most people, but ultimately, it's not the be all and end all of Instagram, which is strange because that's what it used to be. For people that are like photographers or even artists, just like you're doing, film with just a little bit of the process. You can pop it together as a reel. As long as you can think of something that's like an engaging video. Like the thing about IGTV, Reels and TikTok is that they're not necessarily a replacement for social media. They're a replacement for television.
Right.
So you've got to think about it like that. Yeah, of course, it's almost like skipping through. It is like skipping through TV channels, really. Is the way I would describe it. So think about it a bit like that, I guess.
But you feed like your Facebook, Instagram feed has still got to look pretty though, hasn't it? Because when people come to it, you do. It's only that I was with a friend last week or something, and she does skincare, and I was speaking to her about social media. Well, she was asking me about social media and Instagram, and she showed me her Instagram account, and I was like, I don't even know what you do there. It was like when you got to the Instagram page, it's like
all over the place.
Who are you? What are you trying to say to people? What do you want when people get to it? What's the message? It was just confusion. There was lots of sunsets, lots of people's faces, and there wasn't even anything really to do with skincare. And she said, oh, there's some videos, but when you actually looked at the feed, it was like
None of the.
I can't tell what you're doing. She said, I want to show people I'm having a nice life. That's it. That's really great. But are you using it as a business account? Do you want this to be a business account so people actually look at it and go, she's a skincare expert and I need to go and speak with her? She said, oh no, it doesn't say that.
Right. Actually, you know what? That is such an important thing. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people struggle with is the way that it works. And you've got to think about how you interact with Instagram, right? You might see a reel. Let's say you are in you've seen a reel of a person, you go, oh, that's interesting. And then you click on their account and then you try and decide if that's the account you want to follow. Now, if those pictures are all, let's say, like, as myself, right? I love space, anything to do with space. I'm pretty single-minded, right? I've gone to artists' accounts and they've done one or two good space paintings and the rest are just random, it's a picture of a bloody car and a picture of a plant and, it's a portrait and it's an abstract and it's all over the place. I will not follow that account. Even if that space painting was really, really good, I might save or bookmark that individual photograph, but I won't follow it because people are trying to curate their feed. So they're saying, people know what they like. Are you consistent enough for me to give you access to my, for me to allow you to consistently show me your work? If I don't trust that you're going to do anything of consistent, like, because people need to know what they're going to get. Like, if they don't know what they're going to get, they're not going to follow. Unless there was something, unless it's like so groundbreaking what you're doing, let's say use pure hyperrealism, but even then it's like there's still a level of consistency with style.
Yeah.
So, it's got and in the same way that a reel has to have something you should be able to explain, someone should be able to look at your overarching bit of your feed and say, I know what this account is about and what it stands for. And it's so simple. Like, it's actually deceptively simple. If they go, oh, right, I know exactly what this account is about. And this is something that I'm into, I'm going to follow, because we all do that. We go, ooh, we see a picture randomly as we're browsing. Maybe we're browsing a hashtag or we're browsing reels. We go, ooh, what's this person? And we click at them. And if they look like, yeah, okay, I'll follow this. I'm kind of into this. You will follow it. But if it's all over the place, I mean, it's just hard for people. Like, someone might just follow you because they know you, for instance, or, maybe there's one or two things, but it's like, if you really want to have a super engaged audience that like love what you do, you've kind of got to have some level of consistency.
Pinpoint.
Now, if you're doing multiple different styles, because I'm sure there's artists that like, I'm all about doing portraits, and also I really, really, really love doing abstracts, let's say, or I really, really love doing, I don't know, whatever it is, like black and white photography, and I really like doing this other thing, like painting pictures of parrots. If they are like very separated, let's say they can just have two different accounts. And I know that there's always this thing like, oh, but maybe we could share. But the purpose of the message that you're trying to get across, it's not like, if you think about a Venn diagram, those two overlapping circles, if you've got two totally different styles, or two totally different subject matters that don't necessarily like work together, it's not that you're adding the two circles together, it's that the bit that's intersecting is now your market. It's, oh, actually, if you do, let's say, food photography, and then you make clay sculptures of cars, the people that will follow you are the people that like both things, not people that like one or the other. You know what I mean? Because I might not want food photography in my feed, don't really care much for it, but I might be mad about cars. So so I'm like, I don't really want to, you don't kind of want to do that. So consistency is very key, I think. Even if you are experimenting, nothing wrong. Like, here's the thing, if you want to experiment, stick it in your reels. Reels are a great place for experimentation because it's gone in 24 hours. So if you want to try something new, share it with your audience, do it there rather than in your feed.
Yeah, you're also showing people as well that you're not really sure of your path just yet as well. I think as artists, like, it's finding your niche. If you've got 2 or 3 niches, definitely put them separately. But if you've got a certain style as an artist, collectors want to see that that's what you're really good at. And it confuses them if you go, well, I'm this plus this and that. That's usually when artists are still finding their feet of what they want to do and where they're going. So it's you're just letting people know that maybe you're not at that level just yet. So that's a really good reason to make it look like you're at that level, that you know where you're going and what you're doing.
Again, easier said than done, but just run 2 accounts if you know, and I know that that's work and time and effort, but it's better to post half as much on 2 accounts than have it a jumbled mess on one.
Yeah, beautiful. And last but not least, IGTV. Now, you've been doing live on this, did you say? You're telling me earlier?
So I go live in so if you go into stories, you can go live, but of course you can go live for hours, and then it gives you the option to post to IGTV, which is what I love to do. So you can do when you do your I just said reels, didn't I? Stories. If you go in your stories and you scroll along, you can actually go like live. And what often I do is in a story earlier on in the day, I'll have a little one of those question bubbles where you can get people to ask questions, so that as soon as you're in your live, then you can of course get access to these questions. You can start the little question bubble at the bottom, and people's questions will pop up, and you can just start answering them even before people are in. Because one of the things is with the live is that if you are posting it then to IGTV after, you don't really want 5 minutes to go, oh, I'm just going to wait until everyone's here and someone's asked me a question, So I often do tutorials. I'll do live tutorials. I'll do paint alongs. So I'll tell people a couple of days before what materials they need, and we'll all get in there together and all make a mess together. And it's really good. I had such a great uptake of the last one. And what I did was I did the whole, this might be a bit of an obscure reference for some people, but like a Blue Peter, here's one I did earlier. Can I see? So I'll well, it's not really, I'm sure they still do it, but it's kind of a UK thing, I think. So I'll show a picture of the final piece. I'll show a picture of the blank canvas, and I will basically do I'll talk about the different stages, and I'll just go bam, bam, bam in the very first couple of minutes, because when people watch your reel, if it's a repost of a live, they'll watch the first few seconds and decide if it's worth them wanting to watch the whole thing. So I make it with that in mind at the beginning. So I don't just sit around and just and I have done that. It don't work so good. So, but reels Instagram TV, there's so many parts of it. It's a bit like YouTube. You can have longer episodes and that kind of stuff, although I don't specifically use it for that. I just use it to repost my live streams. So I actually got gifted. You can actually sign up now to receive tips whilst you're in live streams in Instagram. Did you know that, Chris?
No. Tips from Instagram of what?
No, I mean financial money. So people can pay you if they're enjoying your stream, or even in your normal stories, you can include a tip button so people can leave a tip for you.
I thought you meant handy hints tip, not money.
Handy hints. Well, they are good, but all the tips are in this podcast. We can get real tips in Instagram now.
Wow, that's really good. Yeah.
One of the things with Instagram lives is that you can do it with other people. So if you and I, Chris, wanted to do it, just split screens it, and you can have up to 4 people. So you can have a good old chit chat. You can each get a glass of wine, obviously drink responsibly, and an easel and some paintbrushes, and you can have a session where you just chit chatting between yourselves, and people can watch as you're doing it, and they can ask.
That sounds good.
It does. It's very fun. So maybe we'll do that one day.
That's it, isn't it? Yeah, I'll say again, making it fun. That's really good.
I'd love to talk a bit about influencer marketing on Instagram, because for me it's like the premier. There's 2 major ways to build a following, because we were talking about how to grow businesses on Instagram.
Mm.
Obviously, Reels is one of the best ways of doing it. And I know it's unfamiliar for people, but you do get into it after a bit. It just takes it's like getting used to a new skill. Um, but outside of that, it's influencer marketing. So working alongside on another account that is in a similar or parallel industry. I work with space news accounts. I work with people that are science outreach programs. I'll work with gosh, like just people that do just people that like space. There's lots of accounts that just like to post space pictures for no particular reason. People that make space video games, like I will do and you can do what's called story for story. So if you see certain account that you really really like, you can say, I've got, let's say, even if you've just got a few thousand followers, you say, well, you've got a few thousand followers, I got a few thousand followers, I'll do a little story and talk about you. Do you want to do one in return? And it's wonderful. So you can share, or you can even record your own stories and then send it to them for them to post on in theirs, something along those lines. Or you can tag each other, and you can just, if someone puts an @ in your name in their post, you can just, there's a post this to my stories button that appears when you watch it. You can also do other different campaigns where you're putting into feed posts and that kind of stuff. So there's like a lot of, for me, one of the best ways to build an audience is to do that. And in particular for arts, I would say just be aware that there are a lot of accounts with fake followers that will happily take your money, 10, 20, 30, 40, $50 or whatever it might be, to give you a post on their page. And their pages are shite, and you get next to no followers or likes or anything for interaction from it. And often you can tell, because if you go to their accounts, they might have 1 million followers and they're getting 600 likes. It's fake, the house. If you see that, it's not an engaged audience. However, if you see a group and they're doing really well, you can see that they are, we do a lot of paid influencer marketing. So we get a lot of other people to share our work, and we pay them to do it. We obviously determine, is this the right fit for our audience? Is this someone that we want to be associated with? Because of course, you don't want to be associated with absolutely everyone. And it can be really, really good. Often it's a trial and error business, and we set them up via DM. So we'll DM an account and say, hey, can we work together? And they'll either say yes, no, or maybe. Don't worry too much, because there are plenty of accounts that would. So but yeah, I would just be aware, like, to check the validity of their account. Like, if they're not, like, what's the number of followers they have is not important, but the number of engagements really is. So think about it like that. And sometimes you can pay, but if you have an account yourself, you have something thereafter too. And if you are an account that's similar, like, for you, Chris, working with interior designers, would you share my painting? I'd love to share your interior design tips and tricks to my audience, and help each other. Like, it is one of the fastest ways to grow on Instagram.
And I suppose, if you are looking at, who the same number as followers that you've got, you are on a level playing field, aren't you? So it's like,
well, you can just pick an account that has it. Like, even if you only have 100 followers, you can find another 100 follower accounts, as long as obviously they have like engagement. But you don't need to be big for this to work. It's like the scale of things. Like, I can offer support to accounts that have 100, 150, 200,000, and we work together. Like, there's a lot of science communicators, or people who are like citizen astronaut candidates and that kind of stuff, and they're looking for followers, and they know that people that like space might like them. So it's very beneficial for us to support each other. But every industry, no matter what you're painting, so if you are painting, let's say, the outback and outback adventures and that kind of stuff, and that's what your thing is, then go and look at camping supply stores. I mean, I know that sounds random, but it is relevant, because you're painting something that their customers would really like, and their customers most likely would like your art. So find the relevant, it can even be other artists, but I find most success when I'm working with someone that's not necessarily an artist, but someone in parallel to
Mm.
that, where there's not necessarily, I don't like to use the word competition, because I don't feel like I believe like we're all going to make it, like I feel like it doesn't matter. But sometimes you can work with people that are a bit reluctant to share or push what you're doing, because they're worried that it's going to take away from what they're doing. So I tend to focus on people outside of the art business, but often I'd work with astrophotographers, for instance. So if you're a landscape painter, work with a landscape photographer. Honestly, fantastic. Great way to make parallels for that.
And I'm sure people will be interested as well, like when you say you pay for like referrals, or how much are you talking that you pay for things like that?
So
I know it will
depends,
vary with
it really
people,
does
but just
vary.
gives people an idea of like,
so if I'm working with an account that's going to put like up a feed post, and they, let's say, have like 250,000 followers, I might pay, $10 to $20 for a post,
so
or a
very
series
realistic, very easy to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and here's the thing, you can go around, and this is what I recommend: go around and ask, and say, look, how much would you charge for this and that and the other? And what you'll find is you'll start to find some sort of consensus, after you've done that. Even if you have literally zero intention of going with them, ask. And not that you want to be time wasting, so of course be careful of people's time, but what you'll find is you'll get to understand, out of all of the different ranges that you've been offered, you go, all right, well, this was a 1,000 account and they're asking for $50. That's very high, because I've just spoken to this account with this kind of following, and it's this much. Obviously, following is only one metric. We look at predominantly interactions, but just ask a couple, like, and you can just write the same message, obviously tailor it to the person, make sure you use their name, but yeah, after a bit you start to get a clear consensus on that. But I think the biggest feature we've done is like a couple hundred, $200. But that was like not just a post, it was like a series of posts and a series of stories, and like we built a relationship, and it was great. So there's always that.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, just gives people an idea, doesn't it? That's, it's very, very affordable.
Oh, 100%. And yeah. So Chris, what are your top 3 things?
Oh gosh. Okay, I've covered so much today.
We have. This has been a monster episode.
I suppose my first one is just keep going. I know it's very basic, but it's like, just keep going. And the second one, I suppose it ties in with it really. Find a strategy that you like, because you'll keep going and you won't mind doing it if it's something that you enjoy. The lives, the third one, I think the lives are great if you're time poor and I was going to say you didn't want to put too much effort into it, but that's only with the edited side and all of that. But if you feel quite natural and quite comfortable and you don't have too much time, well, the lives seem to be a great way that you can really get yourself out there.
Absolutely, for sure.
Keep doing your art. You just do the lives doing your art.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even need to talk. I sometimes I go into YouTube and I type in royalty free music, and I'll just play a little bit of music. I've got a little mini boom box.
Yeah.
Show you a little mini boom box, just like a little whatever speaker, little USB sticker, and I'll just put it near my camera and I'll just play like really subtle, like nice chill, but royalty free. Instantly, you don't want to get a content strike. And you can just do that, and people will just literally tune in, watch you paint, just chill out, and just have a little bit of music in the background, and it works great. So definitely recommend that. Love that. Okay, so top 3. For me, collaboration is king. If you can find another account to work alongside you, you can share your followings with each other. And honestly, it does nothing but benefit both of you. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. It's one of the best ways to grow your account. Number 2 is Reels. I know that they might be unfamiliar, But my strategy is, and Gary Vee talks about this, the 10-10 model. Spend 10 hours using a platform. So use 10 hours using Reels and make 10 pieces of content, and you will really, truly understand the platform. But don't just use it unconsciously. Be very conscious. Ask yourself when you're skipping past something, go like, why am I skipped past it? Or if you stay watching something, think, what has kept me here? If halfway through you get bored, why were you bored? Take notes. Be conscious and aware of how you are interacting. Be like, try and understand, like, what are the trends? Save the songs that you like, all of these things. Save reels that you think, oh, that's quite clever. And really just get into it, right? That's the best way. And if you want mass exposure, reels, if you can nail a reel, like Ian nailed a reel, actually, technically it was on TikTok, but he got in front of millions of followers. And then the TikTok was picked up by an Instagram page, then shared it. And then he gained 12,000 followers overnight with one video. And that's just on Instagram alone. He gained God knows how many on TikTok, more than that, with just one video. So just consider that it's kind of like you get more not hits than hits, but once you have a hit, it's a big hitter, right? So it's a really good way to move forward, and you do get better over time. And then my third point, which is the most important thing, which is Instagram isn't all it. Get people onto your email list. It's one thing to build a following on Instagram, and that is all well and good. But often, it technically speaking, if those people haven't migrated to an email list, it's all a vanity metric. It's not going to solve or sort your business out. So definitely think that's important.
Big lesson from Kat there.
Take it from bloody me, guys. If this is a wake-up call, I hope it is. And maybe someday we'll talk about different email list strategies. But anyway, if you are listening, what are your challenges with Instagram? If you've got any suggestions for future episodes, don't forget to follow us on all social medias and write all the things you're interested in the comments. We'll put the links in the description. Next week, Chris, we're talking about getting motivated as an artist. Thanks for listening, guys.
To that, Kat.
Oh, it's going to be a good one. It is going to be a good one. Chris is really good at all of those like sides of things. And I have been like, I think it's amazing. Actually, you've utterly changed my life with the advice that you've given. And I'm excited to see what you come out with next week. So
I need someone to coach though, Kat. Maybe
you can coach me.
Yes, people on to coach. Anyway, tricks and tips.
So thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.
See you next week.